What's up, Vinyl Community? Your boy Chris back at the Man Cave from a wonderful trip to the mountains with my family, and I wanted to show you guys, store by store, what it is I came up with. First of all, In Your Ears Music Emporium, Silva, North Carolina. Been going up to the Blue Ridge Mountains my entire life. I never knew this place existed. Apparently they've been open 25 years. I had no fucking clue. But anyway, found out about it, did some Googling, Google Magic, found out about it. Get to the front door, and they've got a big cart, and it's got a bell on it, and it says ring this bell. And you ring the bell, and an attendant, owner, whoever, I'm not sure, again, my first time, comes up and asks you if you have a mask. And then in my case, I have the mask on, so they don't have to ask me. And then the next question is, would you be okay with them checking your temperature? And if you say no, obviously they're going no further. Yeah, you go your way, they go their way. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then the next thing is, would you mind putting on hand sanitizer and gloves? Sure. Yeah, I got hand sanitizer in my pocket anyway. So no problems, no worries. I get it and I go in. I got to be honest with you. In terms of vinyl, don't go out of your way to go. I just want to be honest with you guys. Everybody was very nice. They were taking every precaution. But if, you know, for everybody, most of you guys watching me are going to be exclusive vinyl collectors. Do not go out of your way to go here just for vinyl. If you happen to be in the area, it's worth stopping by. But don't go out of your way. But, again, definitely worth stopping in if you're in the area. So I go in. I find a few. For the most part, my experience was everything very overpriced. Almost everything very overpriced. So the very first thing I noticed is to the right, they got a rack full of discount stuff. 25% off, 30% off, some all the way down to 50% off. And the guy instructed me, that like a lot of that was the leftover RSD stuff that they were trying to get rid of, stuff like this. Not very much of it jumped out at me. Most of the stuff I already had. But what did jump out at me was Dexter Gordon, Walk the Blues, Black Lion Records issue. I believe it's on clear vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. Transparent vinyl edition, yeah. I love Dexter Gordon. Absolutely amazing stuff. Live session from Copenhagen, July 21st, 1967. So Dexter Gordon on tenor, Kenny Drew on piano, Niles Henning, Orsted Peterson on bass, and Albert Tootie Heath on drums. Very, very happy to have this. I missed out on it the record store day that it came out. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but I just so happened to miss it. I've been looking to get it since, and destiny. So 30% off. The original price that they had on it was high, but for 30% off, had to walk out of the door with it. And the other three, I filled spots in my collection, because again, I got to tell you guys, slim pickings for vinyl, especially for jazz, but I was kind of expecting that in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So the next three spots I filled with albums that I had sold when I did all my selling, that I always thought to myself I wouldn't mind having back someday. And one of them I added specifically because it was cheap, but one of them, this pressing isn't as impressive as my current copy, but my former copy I should say, but still. It's The Sound of Wilson Pickett, stereo pressing, decent shape, VG plus all the way around. Whereas my copy that I had that I sold was near mint, first mono, stellar. Like you could eat off of it. So would I prefer that pressing? Yeah, but I got a good chunk selling that, made somebody happy. It belongs to a happy home now, and I still have the album now, and I got it for under $10. So awesome stuff. Fair price. I'm happy. Next up, Van Morrison, his band and the Street Choir. It's got Domino on it, you know, plenty of great songs, and I just love Van Morrison. And it was one that I sold all my Van Morrison records, and I was, disappointed. I sold every Van Morrison record I had but Moondance. Moondance is my favorite Van Morrison album. It was the only one I kept, and but I still wanted them all back. And so slowly but surely, I'm going to work my way into getting them all back. Good starting point. Awesome album. Next up, I went into the $3 to $1 bin. They had a bin that was $1 to $3, and I went in there, and for $2.98 I got Wings, Paul McCartney and Wings, Venus and Mars. Essential to have? No, but for $3, and it's got Rock Show on it, and it's got Magneto and Titanium Man, and it's got Experience of Ancient Egypt, Listen to What the Man Said, Medicine Jar. I mean, so it's good shit. If you're a Paul McCartney and Wings fan, you'll want to have it. So that's what I got from that shop. And then as I'm getting ready to depart that shop, I get a text message from my wife saying, "Hey, I'm across the street. Come on in." I'm like, okay. That's where she parked her car. So I walk across the street and I go in, and the name of the shop, the name of the place is, well, I'll have pictures for you to show you. I can't remember the name of the fucking place. But I go across the shop and the street, and I don't see them anywhere. I'm like, what are they talking about? And they're not in the Jeep. I'm like, okay, not in the Jeep, not in these shops. All right. It's an antique shop, and I just glance to the left and I see a sign out front. I'll show you a picture that says, "We buy records." I'm like, okay, well, if you buy records, you certainly sell them. So I went real quick and walked in. I go in, and the guy asked, could he help me? I'm like, here for the records. And he pointed me to the back. So I go back, and immediately what I start noticing is, oh my fucking God, everything is so overpriced. Like in the new arrivals, they had 2 copies of Johnny Cash at San Quentin, VG minus tops, $22 and $24 respectively. Guys, you ought to be able to buy that album 3 times over for $24 in good shape. So immediately I'm discouraged. I'm like, ugh. So I'm thinking about leaving right then and there. I'm just going to be honest. Led Zeppelin 3, $30. What? Led Zeppelin 3, standard U.S. press, $30? Fuck out of here. No way. Some of you might live in areas where that's common for you to pay that. Not your boy. That's a $15 record tops. $15 record in good condition, in really good condition, in my neck of the woods. And so I don't worry about what other neck of the woods charge because I'm not shopping there. So I've had people tell me before when I make my comments to some of these videos, they're like, dude, that's cheap where I'm at. Good for you. Go for it. It ain't cheap where I'm at. And like John Lennon's Imagine. And it was like $40. $40. And then like it had with poster. I don't give a shit what it's got with it. It's not a $40 record. So again, very discouraged. But I decided to keep looking. There's only a few bins. It's like there's no reason I can't go all the way through. Why not? You know, I'm already here. And then I stumble on one I've never seen on vinyl in person. It's going to shock a lot of you, but I decided I had to have it. Sinead O'Connor. I do not want what I haven't got. You guys will know it, of course. For Nothing Compares to You, written by Prince, won a shitload of Grammys, the whole nine. You know, led in advance shenanigans and craziness at the award shows and everything like that. But you can eat off of it. It's a Canadian pressing, sweet copy, and it had $25 on it. And I thought, that seems reasonable for an album I've never seen on vinyl before. That seems reasonable. And I looked at the wax, and the wax is clean. It's got the original inner sleeve. You know what I mean? The whole nine. So it's like, to me, it's worth it. So I went ahead and kept that one. I'm like, all right, well, let me keep looking. If nothing else, I've got this. And the next thing I come up on is James Brown live at the Apollo Theater. Original mono pressing, very first. Okay, fun backstory on this one. I've been looking for this album for years. Several years ago, I came up on it in an antique mall in Charlotte, North Carolina. Price on it that I loved. I grabbed it, got ready to go up front to check out. I had several others. And I'm like, okay, before I go, let me check and make sure all's well with the wax. I'd never had any problems with the wax there, so I never checked before, but on this day I decided to check. Completely different record, completely different artist. I was bummed. Fuck. And I got ready to sit it back down. I'm like, no, I can't sit it back down in the racks, because if I sit it back down in the racks, then somebody is going to grab it, pay the cost for it, and be disappointed when they get home without looking at it. So I took it to the counter, all depressed, and was like, this one's got the wrong record in it. And the clerk looks up at me and goes, so do you not want it? I'm like, hello, Earth. Have we met? No, I don't want it. I'm just trying to keep somebody else from getting bummed. I said I would have wanted it had it had the right record with it to match the correct sleeve, but no, I'm just letting you know before somebody else gets duped and you guys are put in the awkward position of having to decide whether or not someone is genuinely presenting you, with a refundable record or not. And usually places, antique malls, don't offer refunds no matter what you bring them. So, very happy to have this in my collection. And what's funny about it is when my wife had sent me the text message that said we're across the street, she was telling me she was in that place. But after a few minutes or whatever, they left. And she had seen the sign that says we buy records here. And so she went in with my daughter Ramona and told Ramona, hey, we're going to pick out a record for Daddy. Which isn't that just the sweetest thing in the world? So that's awesome. But evidently my wife had this in her hand. And she was looking around just convinced that she'd grabbed me a record, and then she just started thinking to herself, am I positive he doesn't have this? I don't know. I'm not positive he doesn't have this. And so she set it down and walked out, and evidently my daughter Ramona was pretty upset that they weren't getting a record for Daddy. So my wife walks her out of the shop. They go up the street and start looking around at other shops or whatever to calm Ramona down. And I had, about the time I walked out of the shop, it's about the time that I had pulled off my gloves that were mandated to check out in your music emporium, and checked my text messages, saw we were across the street. I'm like, okay. So I went across the street, and there was this bakery type shop. I'm like, okay, that seems like Ashley Speed. So I went in there, look around, nobody. I'm like, okay. I come out and glance around, and it's like, hey, nobody. But anyway, they started coming. I think I've already told the story once. It's okay. But anyway, I go in, long story short, and I end up grabbing this record that I've been looking for years at a price that I could live with in good enough shape. And as I'm coming out of the shop, is about the time they see me, and she asked me what I get, and I show her what I got. And first of all, she was really surprised at the Sinead O'Connor record, because A, she was surprised I found a Sinead O'Connor record, and then B, she was surprised I bought it. And then B, I show her this record. She goes, I literally had that record in my hand. I was going to buy it for you, but I wasn't positive. You didn't have it. And so I set it back down, and Ramona was quite distraught. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm sorry, but, So anyway about it, I ended up with this record. Ramona was happy that I ended up with this record. And there you have it. So it was a great dig from I can't even remember the name of the place. The antique shop across the street from your music emporium in Sylvan, North Carolina. So thank you guys for that. Awesome record. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm sure I'll be there again someday. Hopefully the prices all across the board are a little bit more reasonable next time. But we'll see. So hey guys, up here in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina with my family. I had a great dig and a great time today. A couple good beers, some good food, some good times, and good quality time, which makes it the most important. I'm enjoying a nice mountain drive as we speak. For you guys who've never experienced a good mountain drive, it's awesome. But I'm getting ready to go get some takeout for night. Me and my wife go on vacation. We don't cook shit. Full disclosure, I'm just going to keep it real. But every place up here in North Carolina, the state mandate is supposed to be for everybody to wear their mask. But I'm just going to keep it real with all of you. Nobody fucking is. But me and my wife and my daughter are. We're playing our part. But it's impossible for all the parts to be played if not everybody wants to play them. So here we are. Going to keep playing mine. But
Give me a second, I'll give you guys a good old-fashioned view. Hit a couple of record stores today. Give you guys a good old-fashioned view of a nice old mountain drive. Talk to you guys soon. So guys, like a good boy, I told my wife I was going down to get takeout for us down the mountain. And I am. I really am. But the place that I'm going to get takeout from is 15 minutes away. And they gave me the wait time at about 45 minutes. And I'm already 5 minutes down the hill, so that's 10 minutes away. So there's a new brewery in town right down the road from the mountain house. I'm going to sneak aside and grab myself a pint before I head down there. Because you know how you boil wagon wheels, and why sit in front of that restaurant? No reason to sit in front of that restaurant waiting for them to bring food out to you. So I'm going to grab myself a pint. Brand new spot. Never been. Looking forward to it. Got the 7-Eleven mask. Come on, guys. Bear Waters Brewing Company. North Carolina, mountains. Why would you not want to check out a place like that? I'm getting ready to go grab a pint. I'll holler at you guys soon.
Mixed stout treatment. Good shit.
All right, guys, so my sneak out is complete. Not really a sneak out, just a stop off when the place I'm going to told me they had a longer wait than what I was thinking. Why not be slick about it? Great IPA, great milk stout, great time. Next time, stop by with my girls. Place was packed. Most people were wearing their masks. Their masks, so that's great. And hey, now to go get dinner for myself, my wife, and my daughter. I'll talk to you guys soon. On the way to get food and a mask. Yep, crossing the street. Getting ready to get poured on. Nobody else is wearing a mask. Fuck it. Hey.
And so on to my favorite record store in Asheville, North Carolina. One of my favorite record stores in the Carolinas, period. Harvest Records in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. This is a t-shirt that I got, let's call it about 4, maybe 5 years ago for spending $100+ at Harvest Records, North Carolina. That's a fun story in and of itself. But anyway, fuck it, I'll tell it. You guys will enjoy it. My wife was pregnant. My wife and I had taken a vacation to Nashville for the first couple of days. And then the last couple of days were in Asheville. So from Nashville, Tennessee to Asheville, North Carolina. And one of the things planned for the evening was to go to Sierra Nevada Brewing in Asheville, North Carolina. Well, just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. To hit Harvest Records on the way back. Maybe do something at home for dinner that night. The next morning, wake up, clean up, whatever, relax a little bit, then go back home. That ain't the way it happened. It's seldom ever the way it happens for my wife and I. There's usually always some kind of roadblock, some kind of something for our vacations. So we go through, we get to Sierra Nevada Brewing at just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. I can't remember the exact name of the town. We're enjoying ourselves. Great beer. Great small plate food items. I mean, I'm not really a small plate guy. I'm 6'1", 210, so usually I like a big plate. But is what it is. I can still order a bunch of small plates. Anyway, enjoying ourselves, and about that time, my wife just like looks at me and she's like, "Does my face look funny?" And I'm like, "No," but I'm not really paying any attention, if I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And she's like, "The entire side of my face over here feels like it's not moving, or it can't move. Can you not see that?" And then I look, and sure as shit, the entire like side of her face, like from here over, like she's Two-Face from Batman, is not moving. She can't move it. Her eye, the side of her nose, she can't twitch it. This side of her mouth, she's not moving. She's talking out of that side of her mouth. But I wasn't paying attention. I'm just going to be honest. But when she brought it to my attention, I was like, holy shit. And then she had brought it up, my wife being the healthcare professional she is she's not panicking. She's like, it's probably Bell's palsy, which is very common among pregnant women. I, of course, had never heard of it up until that point. Why would I have? And she goes, it's probably Bell's palsy, which in that case is very, 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 very common amongst pregnant women. But there's a small chance that it's stroke. And if it's stroke, I need medical attention now. Ooh. So, we leave immediately. We go all the way home, a couple hours away, because the hospital that she currently worked at was free health care for us. That was one of the perks of her working there. Waiting room for hours and hours and hours, get a room hours and hours and hours to find out that it was indeed Bell's palsy, and that there was no need for it. And the doctor like basically even talked to us like we were stupid for even coming. Like, why would you come all this way? Why would you do that? It's just Bell's palsy. I'm like, so anyway, got home like 4 o'clock that morning, 5 o'clock that morning. When we got home, all of a sudden, all the fire alarms and smoke detectors in our houses started to go off at the same time. And we have the good old-fashioned the high ceilings. I don't know what the exact name of it is. At least not now. It's not coming to me. But you're not getting to a smoke detector or even a light bulb without like a 12-foot ladder. So it's the design we picked when we built the house. So it's our fault. So I had to go all the way down to my dad's shop, who lives a couple blocks down from me, at like 4 o'clock in the morning to get this ladder and bring it all the way back home. Thank God we didn't have to work the next day. Thank God. And get up and knock all the smoke alarms off and everything like that, and change out some of the batteries. And by the time I'm in bed, I told my wife, I said, go ahead, lay down, get comfortable. You've had a rough enough day. And by the time I get in bed, it's after 5 a.m. And like the sun is not far from starting to come up, and it's like fuck, and I crash and I'm out. I was like in bed till like 2 the next day. And then I couldn't sleep the next night because I had been in bed so long, and it was just, the whole week was fucking thrown off. But anyway, I digress. That's just probably a whole lot of story for nothing. But right before we had hit, shortly after we had hit Sierra Nevada, my wife was still playing it cool. She's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's probably just Bell's palsy and everything like that. I don't think it's gonna. And I was like, okay, well, I was thinking we would hit Harvest Records on the way back up, because she seemed so certain that it was just Bell's palsy. And she had assured me that if it was just Bell's palsy, it was no big deal. And she was like, oh, yeah, sure, let's go. You know, do you mind going in by yourself? I'm like, nope, don't mind going in by myself. So I go in, I spent over $100, got this shirt. She calls me as I'm literally in line about to check out, like sitting my stuff on the counter. She goes, it seems to be getting worse to me. We need to go home now. And I'm like, okay, let me check out. I'm coming. And then I'm like kind of sort of like I'm, you know, like he's even like, hey, you know, I put all my items up on the counter, and he's like, hey, what shirt do you want? I'm like, huh? What, I don't want a shirt. And he goes, like, oh, you know, you get a free shirt for spending over $100. I'm like, okay, the red one. You know, like I didn't even look at it. And he grabs it, and I'm like sitting there all antsy, because now I'm all of a sudden, it's like if my wife, the healthcare professional, is worried, then I'm worried. Right? And so get outside, throw my shit in the back, wasn't even thinking about it anymore. Drive all the way from Asheville, North Carolina to Rock Hill, South Carolina, to take her to the hospital, because that's where we were fully covered. get all the way there, all that, everything. And again, all of it's still worth it. But we did all of that to find out that it was just Bell's palsy, and we would have been cool just to chill another day in the mountains. My wife would have had half her face collapse, but very common for pregnant women, come to find out. I had never heard of it, obviously, until I had a pregnant wife. Anyway, all of that brings me to this Horizon Records trip, because that last Horizon Records trip, of course, is going to always linger in my brain every time I ever go there. But I knew they were closed for COVID-19 coming up. And I was like, shit, it's my favorite record store in Asheville. Like, damn, that sucks. And so I just like messaged them, you know, because they had a website where they had, you know, all their new stuff listed for sale, but I don't want any of your new stuff. I don't want to get your old shit, you know what I mean? So I had messaged them and was like, hey, you know, big fan. Every time I ever come through the area, I make it a point to stop through, dig, spend some money. Like, you probably won't recognize me by face, but every time I ever come through, I stop in and spend some money. Is there any way you guys can give me kind of an idea of your used, like, jazz? And if you can, I'll pay for it online. Whatever you want me to do, you can curbside drop it off to me, whatever. And so the owner, very quick, responds back and was like, hey, how would you feel about a 30-minute appointment between such and such window? And you can come in and just dig, and all you got to do is wear a mask and use sanitizer, and it'll be great. I'm like, oh, sure, phenomenal. He goes, I got to warn you, it's a little bit of a mess. We're not expected to reopen, you know, anytime soon. I'm like, oh, okay. I get in, and he wasn't bullshitting. Shop's a mess. They had boxes everywhere. They had records everywhere. I had to step over records just to look at records. That was like, okay. But he did warn me, and he did allow me to come in and dig. And it's a lot easier to let a guy like me come in and just thumb through the used jazz than it is to just thumb through and type out everything you have. So when it was all said and done, and thank you, by the way, buddy, if you ever see this, I come up with Song for My Daughter by Jack Wilson. It's an original stereo pressing. Little blue note. Splat out. Beautiful. Come up with that. A couple others I thought about grabbing, but decided, nah, I'll put them back. Because by the end and by that point of the trip, I'm kind of running a little lower on money. I spent a shitload of money on restaurants and beer. And then the records that I bought at the other couple shops. And so I grabbed that, and then I'm thumbing through the newer stuff, the newer releases. And then I thumb up on Cecil Taylor and Dent. And this RSD release from a year or two ago, I can't remember. And it's out there. It's more free jazz. Cecil Taylor, great jazz pianist. So it's probably not one I'm going to go to all the time in my collection, but I'm happy I've got it. And here, I'll just go ahead, and it's supposed to be on white vinyl, is my understanding. Usually I don't pull the plastic off of albums until I get ready to play them, just in case I get ready to flip them while they're still sealed. But I don't think I'll flip this one. White vinyl, splat out. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be flipping this one. At least not yet, anyway. It's possible one day, but I don't think so just yet. But haven't had a chance to spin it yet. One of these days I will. And in the meantime, hey, that's where I'm at. But that's all I got from there. But thoroughly enjoyed them. Glad I have them. And hey, great stuff. So that's it for Harvest. And next time, hey, who knows? So that's my video about my wonderful trip on the 4th of July weekend with my family. And I hope you guys all had a wonderful 4th of July. I know this video is coming in a couple weeks late, but it doesn't matter. Hope it was all wonderful for you guys. Until next time, until next video. Keep dropping that new, you guys.